is Casey. It is KCIM Sports Rewind on the air here. Casey Miners, Assistant Sports Director, and John Ryan along with you. Jeff Blankman still gone, still MIA, Casey.
I know. I don't even know at this point if we need him back. You know, it seems like we've kind of held down the fort for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, you know, what does he do around here? We're trying to figure that out.
You guys are brutal.
Yeah. Hey, you miss a week or two, man, you're asking for it there. I mean, you got interviews to do. You got fall sports practice going on now.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I've been texting coaches the last couple of days, setting up interviews for our preview shows coming up, and it's right around the corner. Kind of crazy to think.
Okay, I just got freaked out this morning, and granted, I was out there for a little while, but I had no idea that boys golf and girls tennis moved to the fall sports season until this morning.
They just changed that yesterday. They had their little meeting yesterday, and they changed boys golf and girls tennis next year.
They didn't announce that and make that in public?
No, because it's not until next year. It's not until 2025-26.
I thought it was this year.
Mm-mm.
Okay. See, this is where I need people to straighten me out.
Yeah.
Because I know about 50% of most things.
Yeah, and then the 3A and 4A boys basketball championship games to get to state are now going to be best highest seed hosts instead of having a neutral site. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah, a lot of interesting stuff going to be going on here over the next few years, in fact, in high school sports. And we've got a special guest in here in the studio with us this morning, a member of the Baseball Hall of Fame. How does that sound? Jim Molitor, man. HOF at the end of your name.
Well, thank you. It's really not the Baseball Hall of Fame. It's Iowa High School Officials Hall of Fame. So it encompasses all sports, not just baseball.
See, again, I told you before, I know about 50% of everything. So you're here to correct me if I get that stuff wrong. So, but congratulations, had to be a great honor for you.
Yeah, it was. It was quite a shock and an honor when they called me to tell me it was going to happen, and I'm like, oh, okay. That's, and I guess, for the number of years that I've put in, I thank them for recognizing me.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, 45 years in baseball. You started way back, 79, I think, was the year we decided on baseball.
The summer of 79, yep.
So how did you get going with baseball? I mean, and officiating in general, because it's not something that a lot of younger kids are doing these days.
No. I was encouraged and started during my high school year and during basketball season, and I got registered and whatever. But from the encouragement of my dad and Dan Balk, who was the AD at Kemper, and I ended up working some parochial league games that were worked through the Kemper system. I'd go to Dedham and referee a junior high middle school game on a Sunday afternoon in the old Legion Hall, and I'd go over to Arcadia in their Legion Hall. That they had a basketball court, and that was a good way to make some money. God, I'd hate to find out or remember. I don't exactly remember what it was, but it wasn't quite a lot at that time.
As far as what you were getting
at that
paid.
Time, it was a lot of money to you, but
yeah. So we're talking pay there. But how did that cut into your time playing sports? Did you go out? Yeah, you were out. I assume for basketball.
No. I still played. It was it was just one of those that I did on Sunday afternoons, and I did not do that in high school other than that. And then because I was playing basketball and I played baseball after I graduated my senior year, and I came back the next summer. And
yeah, you continued that through BV, though. You went to Buena Vista University, and you continued to do area games. Kind of a good gig for a college kid to be out there doing some games.
Yeah, it really was a lot of fun. I ended up after about a year or two, I don't remember exactly, but I ended up with a buddy of mine that did some basketball games also, and so we hooked up and we ended up doing some varsity games around the Storm Lake area, and we actually worked together, those last couple years of college, and it was, hop in the vehicle on a Tuesday or a Friday night and go. And
were games as wild then as they can tend to be now? I mean,
No,
'cause fans
I don't think
really
so.
get into it now.
No,
so
I
it was a
don't.
lot more tame back then.
yeah, I think. Oh yeah, I mean, they had to have been. Number one, there wasn't as much going on TV at the time. I mean, you couldn't watch a college game every night of the week. You couldn't watch an NBA game 3 or 4 nights a week. So
There was no replay going on.
No replay.
They weren't picking you apart every second of the night.
I mean, it wasn't long out, because, as a kid, I remember, the Saturday afternoon game of the week with Tony Kubek and
Joe Garagiola.
it was just
Casey, we're talking way over your head.
I don't know either of those guys. So
So
Kurt
yeah,
Gowdy was around, It was,
loved all those.
oh yeah.
So tell me what sports you were officiating when you broke in? Just basketball at first, right?
Basketball at first, and then baseball, and I did work girls softball when I first got started, and those were the only two. And then after I graduated from college and started working at the Carroll Rec Center, about a year.
Yeah. See, when I moved to town, you were at the rec center.
Yes.
And then you moved on to Coon Rapids Baird.
Right.
Yeah.
But about a year after I had been here, we threw a football crew together that was Dan Pomeroy and Jerry Fleschner and Tim Fisher and myself, and we started doing. We started working JV games as a crew, and for about a year, and then we jumped into a varsity football schedule. So then now I was doing 3 sports instead of just the 2. So I still was doing basketball and the baseball and softball.
what would you say for young officials? I don't know. After seeing somebody like you, especially in the area, that's in the Iowa Officials Hall of Fame, what would you say is the key for young officials early on in their career?
One suggestion that I would very strongly recommend is, and I did not start this way, but probably 7-8 years into, number one, work with a regular, steady partner. Get yourself a partner, so you will go a lot farther working that way. In my mind, just because you'll spend time working on and learning situations, rules, talking about situations. You could critique each other. You talk about stuff on the way to the game. You can talk about that stuff after the game. You can do, just the camaraderie then is that you know what I'm going to do and I know what you're going to do.
Yeah.
And you just don't, you avoid a lot of what I want to say sticky situations.
Yeah, it's just like any team who practices. The more you play together and the more you officiate together, the better off you are. Like in baseball, you know exactly where, like Dan Pomeroy is going to be on a certain play. If there's a fly ball to right field, you know where he's going to be positioned. So you guys have worked that a million times.
Oh yeah, and my first partner, Larry Barr from Scranton. It was like back then. It was he and I and Dan and Ed Spindler. Because that was Dan's partner at the time, and Father Collison later, and then Rod Berg with Dan later, before I started working with Dan. We all did things the same. Mm-hmm. So if you ever worked a game with any one of those guys, it was a piece of cake, because you just knew going into the game, baseball, and I'm talking baseball, that you knew what they were going to do, and they knew what I was going to do. So It was, there's verbal communication quite often. Dan and I still at times, you know, it's like, and we know it, but we'll holler at each other, I've got third, or something like that it's just habit.
It's just ingrained in you to do that. But go back to that officiating crew. That was a pretty heady crew. I mean, you got Jerry Fleshner and Dan Pomeroy, you, and more. So that was, I mean, a very highly regarded football crew.
Yeah, and we got a little bit, well, I can't remember exactly how many years Tim Fisher was here. Tim worked out at Pella, and but after Tim moved on, then Mark Werner joined our crew, and so then it was, and that was when, after Mark joined, that's about the time we started getting playoff games and whatever, and then the crew kind of evolved around a little bit. I got out of doing football for a while, and Rod Berg jumped in, and then there was other guys that worked with Dan's crew, and then when they actually, well, a few years prior to that, the association went to 5-man crews, so they had to have a back judge, and Dan had a couple of guys before I got back into it, and it was like he came to me and says, well, we lost our back judge. Would you be willing to come back? I said, yeah, I can do it again. And then there we are,
Yeah.
So
what is it? What do people get wrong about officials? I mean, what do they not understand? The fans that are sitting in the stands. Is there any kind of common thing that they get wrong?
No, it's just what they really just need to realize and let happen is just let us do what we're out there to do. Yeah, we're going to make mistakes now and then, but I think it would help in keeping officials would be to not go AWOL, and just live with the situation, and because most officials know if they make a mistake, if they've made a mistake, they realize it.
Yeah. Do you try to make up for that by just limiting any kind of effect on any team?
Oh, exactly. Yeah. If maybe you just weren't quite in the right position, or something like that, and it's just it's just something that happens.
I know, Casey, we will be out doing games every once in a while, and you hear somebody from the crowd just riding the officials. You've heard it, I've heard it. How do you handle that out on there on the court or on the field, Jim?
Well, by not doing basketball anymore.
That's one way.
That's the one where you're in that confined area.
Yeah.
Being a track starter, a football official, and a baseball official, where are you at? You're outside, and you're far enough away that things like that you don't. I mean, other than if it's coming from a coach or something like that, but over time it's. I've come to realize that it's, I'm doing it because I love to do it, and sometimes I just start laughing to myself, like
just take it easy. You take it easy on yourself.
Well, and thinking of it this way, you can actually see that a lot better from where you're at than me. That's like 5 feet away. So it's it's age and experience is what it is, and
it's having a thick skin. I always tell people in broadcasting and everything else.
That's true.
You just better learn to take those barbs and just say, "Oh, okay, that's your opinion." And
you know what? And the thing is you might have a guy that might not like what you've done. I mean, I'm going to say a coach or whatever. One game, and you come back the next time and you do it, and now they're treating you like a long lost friend because you've just had a good game or something like that, So it's all by what you do, or how well you handle the game, and 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 how you treat them.
I think it's like a rippling effect. I think if the kids see their coach go off on an official or see their parents, talk to them after the game, it was like, oh, this official missed this call and this call. I think the kids is going to affect, the kids, potentially the next time you see, you're at a game or something like that. I mean, do you agree?
Oh, I definitely.
Yeah.
There's times, it happens, football, baseball. I've done it at track too. If you get a chance to just go and talk to them and say, hey, it's okay. It's, or they think you missed the tag. I says, hey, he slid right around you. You tagged air.
Yeah.
You just didn't get him.
Yeah.
The best one though all the time is the kid that makes a bad throw or boots it, and then you hear him go, and you just kind of turn to him and say, hey, partner, let's not let the whole everybody in the crowd hear what you just, oh God, sorry, they start apologizing. I said, no. I said, you're not mad at anybody but yourself.
Yeah.
I said,
Yeah.
but we don't want people to, and just communicate with them. And
Has there ever been a situation where you were, I don't want to say in fear of your safety or like that, but there had to be some ugly scenarios out there where you're kind of like, I'm getting out of here. We're not going to deal with this.
I've got one for sure. I don't remember what. Let's see. Okay, I don't remember the year.
Okay.
But I was working. I was working with Father Collison and Larry Barr, and we were working a sub-state final. We had Indianola was playing West Des Moines Valley at Valley.
Two very big schools.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, I'm getting there. Their combined record going into the game was 66-3.
Oof.
I'm pretty sure it was 1 versus 2. And there were we estimated well over 3,000 people at this game at Valley High School. And Larry was doing the plate, Father was at third, and I had first. And game was going, and I don't remember exactly, but I do kind of remember toward the end of the game that I think the game ended up like 4-3 Valley wins. It was like a pass ball and a play at the plate, and the only thing that I actually really remember the most was we were walking out of the game, and Father and Larry and I were getting called about every other name that you could think of out of the book, and this, that, and the other thing. And and I said, come on, let's go. And we jumped in Father's van up by the school building where we parked, and we drove out of there, and we went to Valley West Mall and changed there instead of where we were at. We just got the heck out of Dodge. And it was.
I was going to say, Father Collins is not wearing his collar, right?
No, not at that point. No.
Otherwise, I don't think they would have yelled every name in the book at him had he been doing that. But
it was. It was. But when you have a game of that magnitude,
yeah.
To go to the state baseball tournament.
It was. There's going to be high emotions on both those sides for sure.
My.
Now, we're going to quick step aside, take a quick break here. It's KCIM Sports Rewind, brought to you by St. Anthony Regional Hospital.
As the athletes at your house prepare for hard work and fun of the season, remember that St. Anthony Rehab Services provides physical therapy for any sports injury that may sideline your member of the team. Sports injuries can plague kids of all ages and keep them from playing the sport they love. Athletes will be under the direct supervision of a certified and licensed healthcare professional in the newly renovated Sports Performance facility. If an injury is keeping your athlete out of the game, call St. Anthony Rehabilitation Services at 794-5000 for sports injury and treatment rehab.
It is KCIM Sports Rewind with Assistant Sports Director Casey Miners. I'm John Ryan. Special guest Jim Molitor, who's in the, I'll make the correction, the Officials Hall of Fame, Baseball Officials Hall of Fame, inducted here at the most recent state championships. So huge honor for you, Jim. Well deserved. Just making it to the state tournament is a huge official honor. Talk about the first time you guys made that and how long it took you guys to get to that kind of level where they're like, yeah, you're state tournament quality officials.
Oh, boy. The first year I made it, I believe, was 1994. And my first assignment was first round 4A in Marshalltown. And I was not with at that time I was working with Larry Barr as my partner. My first 3 years of the state tournament, I never worked with Larry. Mm-hmm. I worked Marshalltown that first year, and then the next 2 years I stayed in Carroll. And it was my fourth year in the state tournament when I finally got to work the semifinals and the finals. And worked 4A, and then it just so happened it had to be with Dan and Ed. So it was Larry and Dan and Ed and I that worked the semifinals and finals that year. And then I got out of umpiring for a few years while my oldest daughter Kristen was playing softball, and then it was no, I don't remember. Well, this was Dan and I's 19th or 20th year. 19th year together. And it took a few years of working to get back into the state tournament. So, I mean, because once you're done, or I shouldn't say done, or walk away for a while to get back, you're not going to get
you got to earn your way back up there.
You got to earn it back, yeah. And that was, I think, too, some that, we kind of talked about that with younger officials or whatever. I think that's where some of the problem is. They want to get to these levels, but they want to happen like now instead of biding your time. I remember multiple years with working with Larry after we'd worked together, and I know Larry and we kind of decided that he and I worked 12 years together. So it took 5, 6, 7 years of working before together. And I know I worked multiple sub-state games and just never got in. It was, it's just biding your time, and that's There's some senior officials out there that have earned that right and exactly.
That respect, so.
And he just kept telling me, just be patient. Be patient. It's going to happen.
It'll happen. I don't know about you, Casey. Do you see a lot of younger officials out there? Not in baseball. Maybe in basketball you see some younger
basketball
officials.
You see some more younger officials, but not in baseball. Baseball are the seasoned, I think the seasoned officials, a lot of them is what you see. What are some of the games that really stand out to you? I know we've talked about, games where you wanted to get out of Dodge, but what are some of the games that you remember that, wow, I was there for that?
Oh, boy. Kind of hard to pick one out after all of them.
Yeah, it really is. Well, I remember one trip, well, actually 2 trips to Principal. It was 2 years in a row, as a matter of fact. And I worked 2A first round. And the first year I had, it was Davis County, who had a pitcher by the name of Clay Matthews, who went on to pitch at Iowa, and then he got hurt. But he was a junior, and I had, well, and the game was, they were playing Alto Aurelia in the first round, and I don't remember I don't think it was a no-hitter, I don't remember, but Davis County wins the game. Clay hit a home run, and the game was over in like an hour and 12 minutes. seriously, 7-inning or 6.5 inning game.
It's a broadcaster's dream, right?
About an hour and 10, 11, 12 minutes, and I'm, the whole time I'm like, yeah, man, look at this, I got this game. Okay, so then the next year, go back to the state tournament. Go back and do 2A first rounds again. And it just so happens I have Davis County, and they're playing Alta Aurelia again in the first round. And, of course, Clay Matthews is a senior now on the mound. And I remember Dan telling me this story later that he was there with Rod Berg and I think Ben and Kyle at the game. Sorry, I called him Kyle the right name. I always call Kyle. But anyway, it's getting to the end of the game, and I don't remember what the score was, but Davis County was winning, and they said, and Dan they said to Rod or the boys or something like this, and they go, "Watch, Jimmy's going to ring this guy," and the last pitch that Clay threw was like right down the center of the plate, right above the knees, and they said he hit on the gun about 88. And of course, what did I do? I rung the kitten game was over, and those kids go, "How did you know that he was going to call him out?" He says, "Just because we, But that was just one of those. But there's multiple games.
I'm sure there's going to be a ton. If you sat down and thought about it, there's many, many games that stand out. Let's talk about young officials because they are begging for officials, people to become officials, get certified. How difficult is that to get certified? What do you have to do to get into it? And what advice would you give a younger official just getting in? You said find a partner, but what else? So how do you get in?
Okay. First of all, yes, you need to contact the Iowa High School Athletic Association, and they can walk you through the process of telling you what you need to do, and you get online and in a program that's called Dragonfly, and you register there for whatever sports, and everything's there. The association sends you rule books when it's, time to get rule books. Myself, I don't get them every year because of, a lot of them will go. But a new official will get, the books to get started. You view an online rules meeting and take an open book 50-question test that's true-false. You can use your book. You can whatever, and you just have to get 75. You got 3 chances to get 75%, and go from there. And the other thing that, especially like for baseball, one thing I would definitely suggest is to join and get involved with the Iowa High School Baseball Coaches Association. Now, I'm saying Baseball Coaches Association, but it's also for umpires also. And if at all humanly possible, attend the baseball clinic that's held in January, and it rotates between Des Moines and Cedar Rapids. This year, it will be in Des Moines about mid-January. It's a Friday, Saturday deal where it's have sessions all day Friday and then Saturday, and then there's a banquet. And the best part about it is there's the coaches and umpires are there all together. There's a lot of camaraderie, asking questions. I mean, you can talk to multiple umpires, multiple coaches, talk about baseball, talk about this, that, and, the other thing along with it. But no, these sessions go over situations. We try to, if we can, with younger people, just to try to hook them up with a mentor to help them get started, help them get equipment bought. Just to try to get them in and get them involved, and hopefully we can try to keep them in it.
Yeah, everybody's there for the same reason. They want the best for their sport. They want a good quality game. They want good quality officiating and all of that. So it's all for the same thing. So check with the association if you've got a younger person out there that's thinking about getting in the officiating game. Again, it's a great opportunity. You can start at the lower levels, get to know the ADs. They are begging for officials at some of the younger levels of the game and things. So it's truly worthwhile. Jim, we're out of time, but thanks so much for coming in. We appreciate it. Congratulations on a great honor. Well deserved, man.
Thank you very much.
And we'll see you on Friday nights, right, for the Scoreboard Show.
Yes, sir.
You bet. It's coming.
Yes, it is.
Football Fridays.
Before you know it, it's coming up here in a couple of weeks. So Jim Molitor, our special guest this morning here on KCIM Sports Rewind.